We're live out there. It's 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. Hope you're all doing well. And we are on live, and I have an American football. Got my football here, just playing around. I had some thoughts. People always ask, why don't we do longer daily scrums? And how do you really get a 15-minute daily scrum? I don't get it. How you do it? What's the importance of it? And I think the wrong perspectives being taken on those daily scrum times. So I just wanted to talk about that. So why do I have the American football? Because I was watching about football and I was thinking about how much time it takes between plays for a football team, American football teams play. I looked at basketball. So American football, you get 40 seconds between plays. Halftime is 12 minutes. And American basketball, there's 130 seconds between periods, right? There may be a little bit more time for halftime, depending on what's scheduled. For soccer, there is no break. You go and you get a 15-minute halftime, right? So there's 15. So in soccer, when you play 45 minutes straight and you're exhausted, you're beat, your brain's gone, you get 15 minutes to plan the rest of your schedule. And what I find amazing, they're playing against another opponent who's counteracting your plan. So it's really more intensive than anything. And we don't really plan to counteract anything. So just want to talk about those times and get perspective on that as we go here. So it's 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. I am Greg Mester, Scrum Master and Agile Coach, where we share, my brain just went boop, but we share practical and tactical ideas and thoughts about Scrum and Agile so that we can bring value to our customer, not spend a lot of time doing it, which is time. We're going to talk about time a little bit today, and a daily Scrum, and get them the family and friends so we can have some fun. So we're talking a little football. Though baseball is today for here in the Phillies. I hope the Phillies do well. It's a baseball day. They got a playoff game. And why? Why am I doing this? Because people want to make these daily scrums last forever, right? And it doesn't need to be. Look at, like I said, time between plays. And this is where two teams are battling against each other. They have 40 seconds to figure out what play they want to make the adjustments, and run the play. And the same on both sides, right? So that's 40 seconds, right? 40 seconds. We're talking 15 minutes. And then I see teams that, when I go into companies, sometimes I've seen companies where they have hour-long daily scrums. Well, first off, it's not a daily scrum by definition. It's just not. And then they have half-hour ones and stuff like that, and maybe they move around a lot. But let's just talk about the time box for right now, and what's the benefit, and why do you want to keep it short? Biggest complaint people have is too many meetings. They don't have enough time to do the work. So why do we want to make the time in daily scrum longer than it needs to be? All daily scrum is supposed to be, because we already had a sprint planning. So it's like a football team where you practice, your prep, you look at your opponent, you practice for the week prior, and that's like the sprint planning. Figure out what plays you want to run, because you're looking at what you have ahead of you, who your opponent is. In this case, what problems do you want to solve? So you have that basic plan, which is all planned out. So now you just have the daily scrum. Now you're just saying, okay, what play works the best in this next period of time? And the period of time for a daily scrum is a day, right? 8 hours. If you have lunch, 4 hours. Every 4 hours, a couple hours, you got a couple breaks. It's probably more like 6 hours in a day than it really is 8 hours. So you got to plan for 6 hours, which gets more into cricket time. But I'm not going to go in cricket, because cricket, when I looked at cricket, I never played cricket, but it's an 8-hour sport with a 40-minute half between the two periods. So you got 40 minutes. So you can even think about this. Cricket, which is all day. So if you have a daily scrum that lasts more than 40 minutes, you are having a daily scrum more than a halftime in a cricket match, which lasts an entire day. So that would definitely be your max. So I don't know why people don't mention that more often, because there's a lot of people, a lot of countries that play cricket around the world, that if your daily scrum actually goes over the time it takes for a cricket match, why aren't you people talking about that? All my dev teams out there, our daily scrum is longer than a cricket match halftime. That's kind of long, and they play for a whole day. So, but why do we want to keep it short? All the daily scrum is supposed to be about is what do we want to do? What plays, think about this way, in American football, right? American football, the time between plays, 40 seconds, they have 40 seconds, right? You have 40 seconds to call play. Like Tom Brady does his 40 seconds to figure out what he wants to do. All you're doing in that time is figuring out what things you can do to get the most value for your team. Think about what I just said. What can you do to get the most value for your team in that 40 seconds? You plan it out. What's your next play? Same thing with daily scrum. You should be looking at your day, and everyone should go in there. What can we do to get the most value for our team in that day that leads to the sprint? Sprint's the overall goal is to win the game, right? It's just like in football, is to get whatever your sprint goal is done, right? Guess the sprint goal in American football is to win the game, right? So the idea is that all you're doing is figuring out what you want to do to get the most value through the day, communicate, this is what I'm planning to work on. I could use some help here, or just let anybody know, or I'm going to be here. We can go through the whole questions, but the purpose of it is just to plan your day, what you're going to do to get the most value out of the day. Not every little tiny inch. I have to go to the bathroom, right? No, we don't need to know that. We don't need to know when you have to do that. No, we can skip that, right? We don't need to know about 15-minute activities. We don't need to know about half hour, major chunks. My teams, when they do work, the most they would do is half day increments or whatever. So what they were going to do in the morning and what they're going to do in the afternoon, just two things. They just talk about two things because it's what they get done in that day. So think about that. We're in American football. You have 40 seconds to figure out what plays that you practice or what stories that you had in your sprint planning session that you want to run in the next attempt to get the most value. What's going to get you the longest yardage in football? Same thing goes in daily scrum, right? And that daily scrum, that huddle. What is it you want to do in that daily scrum? Just plan what you're going to do that day. That's it. Nothing more. And they got 40 seconds. So why do we even need 15 minutes? But for those who go higher than that, and I'm going to tell you right now, if you go more than a halftime in cricket, which is 40 minutes for an 8-hour game, you're going way too far. So keep in perspective what that time's about. It's about getting in, getting your idea, and go. Whether the team goes off and meets together as a group later on, it's fine. But typically you don't need it. Typically, when you work on a play and I got another person on my team that I'm running with, we'll work it out as we go through the day. Hey, I need your help on this. We'll work our way through that play. But we're not gonna have to have an extra long play. Well, how do you do that block? What do you do here? We'll do that as we work through the day on whatever effort we're doing. It doesn't make sense to talk about it unless you're doing it, to be honest with you. And all that we do on sprint planning day, we plan that out. So I wanted to share that, give perspective next time you're looking at organizations, teams, companies, when they have 1 hour daily scrums or half-hour daily scrums or anything over 15 minutes plus. I'm like, think about it. American football, 40 seconds. NBA, basketball, they only get 130 seconds per period. Halftime for football and breaks between periods is 12 minutes. Okay. And the halftime is 15. Same thing with soccer, right? Soccer gets a 15-minute half. So you watch a game in soccer, boy, this is the longest 15 minutes I've ever been in. Well, what do you think your people are thinking when you do a daily scrum that's more than 15 minutes? They're going, this is the longest daily scrum I've ever been into. And it doesn't feel as productive because they're focused to the point and they concentrate what they need to do. And they only talk about one or two things. Well, that's what we're supposed to do. One or two things. That's it. Not a whole book in that 15 minutes. So if you have one or two things and you have 10 people, if it takes a minute for them to talk about one or two things, then they're doing something wrong. That's all I got to say. That's it. I just want to share that with you. Think about the time. Think about the football time. They got 40 seconds between plays, 12 minutes between quarters, right? Or periods, whatever you want to do, in quarters. Basketball gets 130 seconds between periods, and soccer gets 15 minutes for halftime. And the worst case scenario, cricket, which gets 40 minutes a half, but they play an 8-hour game. So if you're more in cricket, you're going way too long. And with that, we're done our show in like 10 minutes, 10 and 3/4, almost 11 minutes. So I want to say, have a great day. Happy scrumming. Keep those scrums short. Keep them to the point. Just the 2 things that you're going to work on during the day. If they're working on more than 2 things during the day, maybe you need to work on coaching that a little bit because they need to get it done. All right. Take care. Have a great day. Oh, don't forget tonight, we're going to do the jobs report tonight, see what's going on in the world. Last week, it was kind of low. So tonight at 8 o'clock, we do the jobs report. With that, I say take care and have a wonderful day. And bye.